Okay, class. So today we'll read the lesson 3 of history, class 10th, and the lesson name is Objectives and Methods of Early Nationalist. So before that, we'll see that Indian National Congress, it is founded in 1885 and it paved the way for the freedom struggle. But Indian National Congress struggle was divided into 4 phases, and we are reading in this chapter just the first phase, that is the early nationalist phase. So early nationalist phase, it goes from 1885 to 1905 and it is also named as moderates and Naram Dal. So second phase is radical nationalists, which comes from 1905 to 1919 and they are also known as extremists and assertives. Their method of struggles are very different. That's why they are divided into 4 phases. Then comes the Gandhian phase, which is 1919 to 1939. And it is also called a mass movement because before that, just the leaders, they are focusing on the national movement. But Gandhiji turned that leaders movement into a mass movement. He included peoples also that movement. And the last phase is the active phase, which goes from 1939 to 1947 and it leads to huge various movements like we can say Quit India movement, civil disobedience movement and many new movements which we'll read in later chapters and the next chapters. Other than that, they were the revolutionaries, जिनको हम क्रांतिकारी बोलते हैं, like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Chandrasekhar Azad, who basically focus on tit for tat, that we have to take revenge from the Britishers, we have to teach them lesson the way they are behaving to Indians. And there was an Indian National Army which was led by Subhash Chandra Bose. These organizations also played a very important role for the struggle, a freedom struggle of India for our country's independence. So in this chapter, we are just going to read the first early nationalist phase about the moderate, their techniques, their method of struggles, and the 3 important moderate leaders. Okay, so as you can see in the second slide, there are the 4 different columns. So these are the phases of Indian National Congress. So I want you to make it clear that what phases we have of Indian National Congress or the freedom struggle. So first phase, as you can see in the first column, it is the early nationalist phase. So they were also known as moderates because their techniques are very mild, techniques are moderate, they are known as Naram Dal. So they are very moderate in their techniques. So it runs from 1885 to 1905. Now if we see the method of struggle, it was prayers, petitions, they believe in British sense of justice. They used to write the letters, they used to write the petitions to the Britishers if they thought something wrong going on within the government. So these are just the techniques. They are not violent in their techniques, they are not extreme in their techniques. Now few leaders of the moderates which we'll read in this chapters is W.C. Banerjee, Umesh Chandra Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Badruddin Twadji, Surendranath Banerjee. So you can learn just the 3 or 4 leaders of your choice because it can come into word question that write the name of the early nationalist leader. Now we'll come to the second phase, that is the radical nationalists, which is from 1905 to 1919 and they were also known as extremist as well as the radical nationalist and assertive as well. Now what are kind of methods they have? They are having a method of boycott if they found something wrong going on, so they used to struggle for that. There's Swadeshi. Swadeshi is basically a word which means your country's produced product, so manufactured product. So Swadeshi they used to promote because they want that if we are promoting, if we are making Swadeshi, if we are using Swadeshi, so we are turning from a dependent to a self-independent economy. So they want the promotion of the Indian made goods. So they are doing 2 work. They are just boycotting the work or the bad work of the Britishers and they are promoting the country's own produced products. Revivalism, they believe that we have to revive the culture which people has forgot just because of the coming of the Britishers. They are just copying the Britishers like the monkey used to copy them. So they want that we should revive our culture. They used to criticize the Britishers openly. They promote the national education that Indians, other than reading English or Western literature, they should know their own education system also. They provide Swaraj, which means independence, and their methods are very extreme. So we can see that the method of struggle of the radical nationalists and extremist nationalists or the early nationalists are very different. That's why they are having a different phases. Now there are 3 important leaders which are known as the famous trio, Lal, Bal, Pal. So Lal comes to Lala Lajpat Rai, that is Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal. So these are the 3 important leaders of extremists. So it can come in exam, it can come in picture study as well. Now next phase is Gandhian phase, which comes from 1919 to 1939, and the method of struggle of Mahatma Gandhi is basically satyagraha, that means seeking for the truth, non-violence, that in your approach you are non-violent, you will not hurt, even somebody is hurting you, you will not hurt that person. Next, he is also promoting Swadeshi because he believed that we have to be self-dependent on us, we should be independent so that we can seek freedom from the people. He believes in social justice also. Basically, he wants to uplift of the untouchables because he thought that it is of no cost of freedom unless the people who are suppressed since earlier ages, they are now suppressed by the Britishers also, and even if we'll get the freedom they suppressed now, then also, so it is no use of that kind of freedom. So he warned that it is only the freedom when we are uplifting the untouchable peoples also. So he worked for the social justice, provide them education, and also provide them food and many other things. Now the movements which he launched, first is NCM. NCM spells as Non-Cooperation Movement, which he launched in 1920. Then is Civil Disobedience Movement in 1930, which turned from a leaders movement to the mass movement. So that was his role. Now the last phase is the active phase, where all these people, they work together for the freedom of the country. It's from 1939 to 1947, and the method of struggle was extreme Swadeshi non-violence. Revolutionary also participated, Jo Kranti Kari the, and the International Army as well. So movements are basically Quit India movement launched 1942, leaders are Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Vallabhbhai Patel, all the leaders of the early radical and the Gandhian phase. So this is basically, we are going to read about the national independence movements, and in this chapter we are reading just the first column, early nationalist phase. Okay, now third slide. So in this slide we'll see the early nationalist phase and the features of early nationalist leaders. So phase, I think you remember now the year, it is from 1885 when the INC was established till 1905 until the entry of the radical nationalists. So the features is basically they are having an unlimited faith in the British sense of justice. They believe that yes, if we'll write to them, if we'll ask them for something, they will definitely provide us. They will here to protect us or to moderate us something. So they have a faith over the British sense of justice. Secondly, they basically asking for the constitutional reform within the British rule. So they're not asking for the freedom from the British rule. Here you can see this. They're not asking for the freedom. वो ये नहीं बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं जी हमें freedom दे दीजिए. What they were asking, they're saying कि no freedom, but just you can provide some share of the responsibilities or the powers over the government. So they're just asking the reforms. They're not asking for complete independence. Okay. Third, their method of struggles are very moderate, like paperwork, petitions, not just boycotting or just doing a dharna over there and asking them, we need this, you have to provide us this. This was not their approach. So their approach was very moderate. Okay, if you're providing, it's good. If not, then also it will be good for us. So we have to see the features. These are the features on which the early nationalists are basically working. And extremists are very different. That's why they are divided into different phases. Now, a few important leaders, as I have already told you, W.C. Banerjee, Dadabhai Naorozi, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopalakrishna Gokhale, R.C. There are many. So you can just learn any four of your choice. Okay? Thank you. Now the next slide speaks about the objectives and demands of the early nationalists, as you can see the heading. So first, basically there are many objectives in your book, but these are the 5 or 6 objectives which I have selected. These are very clear and it will be very easy for you to learn. So not subheadings will not come, it is just they will ask for the in exam. So objectives and demands, clearly the objective and demands. So first objective is they ask for the abolition of Indian Council. Actually at the time it is named as Indian Council, but no Indian member was part of that. So that's why they said that it should be abolished, and if it will continue, then Indians should also include it into it. Secondly, they ask for the expansion of legislative council. So what are the legislative council? Where the law making body, like we have Lok Sabha, we have parliament, that is a legislative body. So they say that if you are having a legislative body, at least extend it. Like if it is having a 90 seat, extend it to 100 or 120 and just provide more share to the Indians, because obviously you are making laws for us. So our share are important, or we can say participation is very important. So they ask for the extension or expansion of the legislative council. The third demand is they want that employment opportunities for the Indian youth should be provided higher. They should be provided more opportunities for the higher services, so that their education should be well used, so that we will also get a share in the administration. Third, They asked for holding of ICS examinations simultaneously both England and India, and also increasing the age of to apply. So they said that no, not everyone can afford to go to England and give the exam. So they said that it should be held simultaneously in both England and India, so that the Indian could get share in the administration as well, and age should also be increased so that many people can participate into it. Next, for the farmers, they asked that their land revenue should be reduced and peasants should be protected from the unjust zamindars who was extracting in a very wrong way from the Indian peasants. Next demand was they are asking for the cheap loans to the peasants so they can buy many things for their farm and they can grow more crops. And one more thing they asked, there was separation of judiciary and executive, because if executive and judiciary are part of same or together, then judiciary can't impart the justice. So they asked for these kind of demands from the government. So these are the demands of the early nationalists. Okay. Now in the next slide, we'll see the method of struggle of early nationalists. So early nationalists, they didn't believe in the agitation or the violence or doing the boycott. They believe in the very mild methods. What methods they followed? First, they used to write the petitions to the high government officials if they found that some law is not according to the people, some law is not just. So they write the petition for asking the answer from the government. It was just like that. They ask for the resolution. They have not asked for extreme thing, if someone has committed the crime, like some European has committed the crime, so there should be a case going on him and he should be punished. No, they said, okay, we'll need a middle path, just resolve this issue. Next, they basically announce the meetings in the town, cities, countryside, discuss on various matters. So discussion and talking are the main, we can see, methods of them. They used to distribute the leaflets and the pamphlets, sometimes criticizing government, writing on the newspapers, not more than that. They used to prepare the records of the various issues if they found, and then those issues should be recorded and then sent to the British government. Even they are not answering British government, they rewrite it. So just not we can say very violently or very, we can say, in a very wrong way they used to ask. They are very polite of asking the questions from the Britishers. Even if they are not answering, they are least bothered. Next, they used to send the Indian delegates to England to discuss the Indian grievances, Indian people grievances. Like Dada Bhai Naroji, he was the first person who was appointed he has secured the seat in the British House of Commons. He is the first unofficial ambassador of India who used to go to British House of Commons proceeding, and then he used to present the grievances. So these are the, we can say, simple or the very mild methods of the early nationalist. So we have seen that what are the method, what are the demands, but now we'll see what achievements of early nationalists. So firstly, we'll talk about they are the first people who bring the national consciousness among the various section of the public life or various section of the people, or injected the feeling of nationalism among the people. So they are the pioneer of the bringing national consciousness among the people. That was the first contribution. Okay. So to start something is very difficult. So they are the people who started the nationalism in country. Secondly, we know that we are having a monarchy in our country. As we have read in history, there were Delhi Sultanate, there was Mughal Empire, there were various Rajput provinces, there were Maratha provinces. So we are monarchy. We don't know anything about democracy. So they popularize the idea of democracy, liberty, equality, these ideas or representation in the government, how a government work, elections, all those things were popularized, or all those things were being told to Indian or the masses basically by these early nationalists itself. So these are the people who has popularized these ideas. That was the second contribution. Third contribution is that some of the early nationalist leaders, they were well educated. So they know that how Britishers are exploiting our economy. So these are the people who explained to the Indians that how the British are exploiting Indians. Like Dada Bhai Naroji, if I'll give him example, he has written drain theory. He has calculated all the investments and how the money has been passed to the Britishers by the raw materials as well as the finished good, as well as the paying the salaries of the Indian people, of the British people, and the luxury they are living over here. And he explained that how Britishers are draining India as well. So they are showing the mirror to the Indian people to see they are not here for good thing for us. So we have to work hard to bring more faster the freedom. So that were the achievements of early nationalists. So now we'll read the contribution of the three great early nationalist leaders which is mentioned in your book. One is Dada Bhai Naroji, second is Surendranath Banerjee, and the third is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So in this slide we'll read about the contribution of Dada Bhai Naroji. He was a person, he was a pioneer Indian statement that he was the first person who has organized a organization, and he has put up or conceived a point that there should be an organization through which we can discuss our matters. So he was a pioneer of the, we can say, Indian National Congress, and that's why he came to be known as the Grand Old Man of India. So this can come in exam, that who is regarded as Grand Old Man of India, and write his contribution. So you should know that Grand Old Man of India was Dadabhai Naroji. Secondly, as you have seen, read in the second chapter itself, that he founded the East India Association in 1886. And he was the first person who won seats in British House of Commons, that means British Parliament. As an Indian, he won seat there, and he is appointed as the India unofficial ambassador to England. So now if he's appointed there, so he has a say in the British Parliament. Like if any law has been passed, so he can just stand up and he can discuss the matters, the grievances of the Indians. So that was his contribution. Third, he is one of the founder member of the Indian National Congress, and he presided the second session of Congress which held in Kolkata in 1886. Next contribution is that because of his efforts in British House of Commons, when this resolution has been passed that ICS examination now it will held in both England and India. Next is that his work includes, like he used to write in newspapers, so his work includes of Rasht Koftar, poverty and un-British rule in India, and he is given the train theory. So these are the 5 contributions of Dadabhai Naroji. Our next early nationalist leader is Surendranath Banerjee. So his contribution, if we'll read, he was the first Indian who cleared the ICS examination in 1869. So he was the first person who clears the ICS examination. Even there's so much of restrictions, then also he cleared ICS examination and proved to the Britishers that Indian can also have the talent to be a part of administration. He holds such a great knowledge, and other than knowledge, he has a capacity to move the audience. He is a great orator. So that was his. He used to give the speeches to describe that how Britishers are exploiting us, that how we have to move ahead for the freedom of our country. That was his first contribution. Secondly, he founded the Indian Association in 1876, which you remember, a kind of, we can say, a foreign organization of INC at Kolkata, and he fought against the injustice and repression openly. He worked as a journalist, and his work is very remarkable because he openly criticized the Vernacular Press Act and Arms Act, and before that his newspaper has also been banned by the Britishers. So he is, we can say, a kind of open-minded journalist. He supported the Swadeshi movement. He believed that we have to produce our own country products, we have to encourage the handicrafts, we have to be self-reliant. His works include, the books he has written is The Bengali and a Nation in Marking. So this is the contribution of Surendranath Banerjee. Okay, now the last early nationalist leader, the contribution of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he is regarded popularly as the political guru of Mahatma Gandhi. And why he called the political guru of Mahatma Gandhi? Because when Mahatma Gandhi, as you all know, he's in South Africa, and he's been doing satyagraha there for the unjust done to the African people. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he went there, and when he saw the work of Mahatma Gandhi, he encouraged him that you have to come to India. The same thing which the Britishers are doing in Africa as a colony, they're doing here also. So because of his persuasion, Mahatma Gandhi, he came to India, and then history speaks that he played a very great role in the freedom of our country. So that's why he's known as political guru of Mahatma Gandhi. His contribution, second contribution, is that he presided over the Varanasi session of Indian National Congress in 1905. So he was the president of one of the important session of Indian National Congress. Third is that he supported Swadeshi movement, and he believed that in constitutional means to achieve goal if separation of judiciary from executive. So he has promoted separation of judiciary from the executive, and he also asked for the constitutional reforms. Third contribution is that he established the Servants of Indian Society, and it is basically training the men voluntarily. They used to participate, and they used to train them to devote their life for the cause of the country. They asked the youth that you have to participate in this work so that you can bring freedom in our country, because you are the future of country. So he has founded the Servants of Indian Society. And the last contribution is that his works include of Sudharak, which is a book, and Annapurna Sarvajnik Sabha he established. So these are the contribution of the early nationalists, and in this chapter you will read till here. So start making notes of these chapters and start solving the question. Thank you.